Alright everyone, welcome back again to more Fate Stay Unlimited Blade Works. The black giant shakes. The body of rock starts to fall. But the giant holds out and shakes off the noble phantasms clinging all over his body. The astonishment comes from that man. The black giant gets rid of the swarm of noble phantasms and closes in on his enemy. His body is already a corpse. The black giant advances with what should be a hopelessly fatal wound. That is the result of a strong will. It is not the madness due to being berserker. The giant is facing this hopeless battle with a strong will. Magic bullets are fired mercilessly. Repelling them with his axe sword, the giant closes in on the man with his body slashed and legs pierced. He most likely won't reach the man. Yet for him to still challenge himself while understanding that, he must have something that he cannot give up. What is he moving forward for? The servant fights for his master, to protect their life. That is why the giant did not retreat. He can only move forward as a shield to protect his master behind him, fighting girl from the reign of noble phantasms. The giant resumes his foolish advancement. It is because he knew that he could only defeat the enemy while protecting Ilya's veil by taking all the attacks himself. And if he is able to reach his enemy, then that is when he wins. It was this kind of battle from the start. The man has to kill the black giant before he reaches him, and the giant has to approach the man before his life ends. This is a battle where whoever accomplishes their own goal first survives. The giant is aware of that, even if that is a battle that he had no chance of winning from the start. He lets out a roar. Coming out of his 10th death, the black giant runs. He charges toward the man, stirring up rubble like a bull challenging a matador. Numerous arrows are released. Did he get used to it from the repeated deaths, or was it his final charge? The giant repels all the arrows and closes in on the owner of the noble phantasms. The axe sword is swung. The strong sword that had not been swung at the man at all zips through the air with a flash. The black bull is captured by the numerous chains that appear. What kind of noble phantasm is it? The chains that suddenly appeared in midair lock up Berserker as if binding space itself. Do you know how close Berserker was to taking down Gil, only for Gil to pull off this ass pull of a move? The chains tighten Berserker's arms and twist them in every direction. As the chains wrap around his whole body, they continuously get tighter and even try to squeeze his rock-like neck off with tension. The man's voice. The hall is filled with the creaking sounds of the chains. It must be Berserker's strength. The giant tries to cut off the chains that control space itself. Even if it initially sounds impossible, there's no doubt that the giant can accomplish it. And of course, the man understood that as well. The girl screams. Ilya's veil uses a command spell to command Berserker to retreat by force. But the giant is still captured by the chains and unable to move an inch. And then, The man points to the giant as if to signal the end. An astonished girl's voice. It's over. This time it really ends. Bounded by chains and therefore unable to defend himself, he gets annihilated by the noble phantasm 22 times. The black giant goes silent as he is forced to assume the shape of what can only be described as a strange statue. There's no need to even check whether he's breathing or not. Even if he is a great hero that overcame 10 deaths, he should not be able to get back up after experiencing over 20. Yes, even if he is alive, the giant should not have enough strength to even breathe. And the battle ends. It was known from the start who was going to win. Berserker could not win against the servant. No servant can be matched for that man as long as they are a heroic spirit. Heroic spirits each have their own weaknesses, which have been preserved from their time as living beings. By extension, each servant's origin story is their weakest point. Then, what would be the result of having a heroic spirit face off against someone who possesses all the noble phantasms, including the one that ended their life as a human? This is the result. Even if he may have been stronger as a hero, he cannot win against that man as long as he's a heroic spirit. The ghostly white girl runs to the black giant that became a corpse, and the man mercilessly slashes the girl with the sword in his hand. She screams. The man takes away the girl's vision with a single horizontal strike. That's a typo right there. For the next attack, the aim is to stab her heart, but that misses. No, he missed on purpose. The girl is pierced in the lung, and she coughs out blood. The chains are broken. The black giant breaks the chains and launches an attack on the man. The man stabs the slow-witted target. The spear pierces his heart. He finishes off the giant with a spear similar to Lancer's noble phantasm, Gaybolg. Then it ends. The black giant dies for sure this time. The sword is pulled out from the collapsed girl. Leaving traces of red behind, the girl crawls to the giant that is no longer moving. Watching in the light, the man walks forward. He threw away his sword. He will use his bare hands to finish off the dying girl. I'll die. I'll probably die. I'll die for sure this time. That servant has no logic. He will kill anyone in his way. If I don't get away from here before he finds me, I'll surely be killed. So, Pshh! We're stopping him. My frozen body bursts out. My feet lift me up and my arm grabs the railing at the same time. I see Tosaka's face as I do so. She's biting her lip in frustration, glaring at the tragedy happening below us. I know. It's obvious Tosaka wants to stop him as well. But we'll be the ones killed if we do so there's no way we can stop him. That goes the same for me. I know that's stupid of me to die trying to save the dying girl. I don't care about that. I can't leave that girl be. That's what overtakes my mind. I jump over the railing. Tosaka and Shinji both look surprised at the intruder, but that man doesn't even see me jumping down. The man reaches out to the girl in white. I yell at the top of my lungs. I stop him with all my might.
Oh.
The man stops his arm that he tried to extend, and slowly, he turns towards me by the wall like a grim reaper who has found his new prey. Going back over a month, he was summoned to this world before anyone else. He was not summoned to this country, a faraway foreign country. The ground is constantly covered in white, the sky is always gray, and the castle is built hidden in the mountains. It is always winter in that land. Coldness and stagnation, barrenness, and longing. They are like living corpses, cutting off their connection with the present world and waiting for a reproduction of a miracle. The winter coldness takes away their human warmth, and the stagnant world won't allow them a new lifestyle. His family were seekers of the Holy Grail. Spring won't come for the iceberg family until the day of their dearest wish is filled. It has already been 10 centuries since they started to search for the Holy Grail. After using every possible method to get close to the Holy Grail, they were eventually able to cast the Holy Grail out of iron. However, all they could make was the vessel. No mystic dwelled within it, and they kept casting vessels that would never be filled. But a foreseeable end comes to those days. They performed the ritual to fill the vessel with the help of outsiders. The result was both a success and a failure. The Holy Grail was made. Through this, the Holy Grail would be filled. But it made many enemies at the same time. Even as the supposed owners of the Holy Grail, they were reduced to mere providers of a service, no better than any other mage. Their tenacity is abnormal. No, ever since they almost obtained the Holy Grail 1,000 years ago, they had lost their minds. They broke the rules and constantly pulled the strongest card. The first time, they did not have the leeway to do so. The second time, they finally found a loophole in the rules. The third, they summoned what they shouldn't have. Then the fourth. They were sure of their victory after gaining the strongest card and its manipulator. The result were a crushing defeat like never before. Of all the servants and masters they chose, one who betrayed them. The man destroyed the Holy Grail, leaving his daughter behind in the Winter Castle. They were furious at the man's betrayal and lamented their mistake. They could not trust outsiders after all. Only one of their bloodline, their family's creation, who had inherited magic circuits perfected over generations, could obtain the Holy Grail. They had a backup plan to start with. Then, the fifth time, they made certain they prepared the strongest master and servant. That was him. 2 months before the Holy Grail started, every rule was broken for him, Berserker, to be summoned beforehand. The days that followed were only to hurt the human that would become master. The command spell engraved all over the girl's body was only to control Berserker. It did no good as a magic circuit and drained their life away. Even just a slight move by Berserker would make the girl scream. It's no wonder. It was 2 months until the Holy Grail would appear. The only thing keeping this great hero in this world was her magical energy and command spell. Berserker was not created from the magical energy of the Holy Grail. No matter how special she is, keeping Berserker using only her own magical energy is like taking her own life away. Knowing that, they still did not allow for her to rest. They abandoned them in the winter forest filled with a pack of hungry beasts. They gave them over to the corpses possessed by evil spirits. They were even thrown to the wasteland, where they disposed of their failed experiments. The only way for Go to survive was to rely on the giant, the only thing that she had been given. It was beyond training. It was a fight for survival, yet the girl survived. She had the giant attack the oncoming enemies. Every time she would let out screams of anguish, but had him ceaselessly eliminate everything that attacked. He himself does not know when that process became a special one to him. Despite the girl's young appearance, she hated whining. Everything that came out of her mouth was an insult. She must have instinctively known that if she was going to lament, she would become stronger if she hated the cause. The girl despised Berserker for being ugly and cursed his existence. It was natural. The girl would not have to suffer if he had not existed. She would not have been thrown in such a hell if she had not been chosen as a master. The girl detested the giant for everything and used him as an outlet for her anger. The girl got used to controlling Berserker, and by the time the Holy Grail showed signs of its appearance, the pain that attacked her disappeared. The girl took away reasoning from the giant as if in revenge, treating him as a mute, mad warrior. But he already knew that was the girl's utmost resistance. By doing so, the girl hid her own weakness, that she could live by herself. She held her head high since she didn't need any allies that she could trust or friends that she loved. That was her way of disguising that she had nothing to call her own. In the winter forest, The girl hesitantly touched his arm, stained red from the enemy's blood. Surrounded by a pack of beasts, the girl braced for death even as she desperately denied it. At that time, he was not able to move without an order from his master, so he was the first to become the beast's prey. The pack of beasts pierced his arteries, tendons, and eyeballs with their fangs. The girl screamed seeing that. He couldn't remember what she had said then since he had his reasoning taken away. But the girl screamed not for her sake, but for his. Even though he destroyed her arm every time he swung his own, she endured it so that he did not die. That's why both of them were covered in blood. The giant was covered in slaughtered beast's blood, and the girl was covered in her own. He remembers that winter forest, the weight of the girl that leaned on him, crying tears of pain, and he realized, in that small cold castle, the black giant was the only one that the girl talked to. She comes into view. It was the same as that time. The girl is running to him crying, which she had not seen since she had become a master, and the man slashes her. With a horizontal flash, the blonde enemy takes away the girl's vision. Her face is covered in red. The blind girl runs in spite of that, tripping over rubble. The slender body falls. There. The enemy's sword is swung. The sword misses her heart. Her lung must have been pierced as the girl is coughing up blood, still on the ground. It's not an instant death, but it is fatal. The girl is left with nothing as her vision is taken away, her lungs broken, and she even lost her servant. If she could die peacefully, it might at least be a salvation if she could just go to sleep right there. However, the girl is moving forward, leaving a trail of blood behind. She crawls towards the black giant, fumbling and crying in anguish. How much power was left in him? He breaks the chains with all his might and grabs at the man. The magical spear is thrust. The spear pierces the giant's heart. And it ends. The man pulls out the spear as if nothing happened, and the remaining power in the giant completely disappears. His body disappears. The power that was giving him form had completely disappeared. Then all there is left is for him to disappear. The servant lost all his magical energy and has no power to stay in this world any longer. He falls to the ground, but in his final moment, he sees the girl fumbling around for him in his peripheral. Strength returns to his collapsing legs. The law of magecraft that built him, the regulation of the world that hates inconsistencies, and the body of rock that crumbles away as sand. This is sad, man. I hated seeing this part. I really did. He pushes away every power that tries to eliminate him just with his will. I can't disappear yet. He is probably the only one she could rely on. In order to support the lonely girl who insulted him, but still believed in him as her only alliance. With her vision taken away, the girl is crawling with her arms stretched out. She must have wanted to feel him, as she cannot see him now. Her hands covered in blood grope at empty space trying to verify his existence. There is no power left in him. There's nothing he can do. Berserker will fall here, and die here. His body has died and he has no strength to support his falling body. But not this time. His mind is dead. Supporting his body with a mind and a will that should no longer exist, he leaves this world. His body has not fallen, still invincible, as if to say that his body cannot give up until the end for the sake of the girl that relies on him. And the girl reaches him. The hand that was only grasping the air finally touches something. Coughing out blood, the girl clings onto the hard body. She cannot see anymore, but she can still feel him. Berserker hasn't lost. She cannot see for herself, but Berserker is strong as always.
よかった。ずっとそこにいてね。まさか。
Strength fades from her body. Everything hurts and she's scared. But it's alright as long as he's here. He always protected her. He was scary, but he was really nice. His big body is like a father's, so she really wanted him to pick her up at least once.
辛くても怖くないよ。バーサーカーは強いんだもん。こうしていてくれれば、私は安心できるから。
She rests her body on him. She feels like a hard and big hand is placed on her head. It's probably true. She should be patting her head if she opens her eyes.
ちょっと寒いね。
Her body's code. Recalling the forest from that time, the girl laughs. It was a long time ago already. Recalling the giant that protected her even while getting injured, she happily falls and loses consciousness. God damn it. The man reaches out to the girl in white, who peacefully fell asleep. I yell at the top of my lungs. I don't consider my own danger or what could happen to me. The man stops his arm that he tried to extend. Behind him is Shinji, surprised at my intrusion. He smiles ominously. My shaky throat speaks before I can think. However, there's no way that man will stop. Oh, you freaking asshole. I couldn't even tell him to stop. The man pulled something out of the girl's body with his bare hands, but a smile still on his face. A red, dripping object that looks like a fruit. The thing in the man's hand is without a doubt the girl in white's. My mind burns down. I lose my sanity as fear of being killed and hatred of wanting to kill him gets muddled.
観客がいたか。俺の勇姿を見たいという気持ちはわかるが。
The man's still holding the red thing in his right hand.
身の程をわきまえろ。王に命じるとは何事か。雑種
He fires one of his countless noble phantasms at me. The terrace falls. The man's noble phantasm goes through the wall of the castle and destroys the hall walls. I don't move a step in the midst of it all. I don't care about the rubble that falls from above. I don't have the composure to run, and I have no intention to do so. It doesn't matter where a big piece of rubble grazes my back. I can't think of taking my eyes off that man right now.
ほう。何かと思えば、セイバーのマスターとはな。
His red eyes react to my enmity. My blood boils. I'll die in the next instant. There's no way I'm not afraid of that. But my body refuses to run away and keeps screaming to defeat that enemy right now. The corpse of the girl that was killed mercilessly keeps ordering me not to forgive him. It's only natural for me to lose all reasoning. My mind churns from the contradicting desires of life and death.
戦う意志はある価値はない。
A sword appears in the man's left hand. The sword is raised mercilessly and should come down to kill me. Even then, I keep staring at the enemy. I can't think of showing my back to that man.
ちょっと待てよ。そいつさ、僕の知り合いなんだよね。
The man's sword stops. Shinji, who is watching from the other side of the wall, starts walking to the center of the hall with light steps.
よう、久しぶりだな、エミヤ。こんなところで会うとは思わなかったんでね。少しばかり驚いたよ。
The man doesn't move. There's about 10 meters between us. Would I be able to get near him? Even Berserker could not close this distance.
なんだ、ブルって声も出ないのか？まあ、気持ちはわからないでもないよ。ああ、そうだったそうだった。いや、あの時は見逃してもらって助かったよ、エミヤ。
There's nothing I can use as a weapon, but I don't care. My mind is clear right now. I don't feel any uneasiness about projecting his swords in this situation.
おい、僕がこっちを見ろって言ってるんだ。
I slightly shift my gaze in his direction. I face Shinji while keeping the man in my vision.
そうだよ。分かってるじゃんか。今ここで一番誰が偉いのかってことがさ。
I gasp a little. It's not Shinji's words, but rather the unexpectedly serious manner in which he says them.
そういうことだ。なら分かってるよな、エミヤ。お前、このままじゃ確実に死ぬよ。
How out of place. Why say something that's so obvious now?
紹介が遅れたが、そいつは僕の新しいサーバントでね。ライダーなんかよりすごいだろ。
Shinji puts his hand over the man's shoulder, and with a delighted face,
命乞いしろよ、エミヤ。少しは考えてやってもいいぜ。
he says some nonsense.
断る。
I have no doubt. I answer right away without showing any hesitation or showing any signs of even considering it.
そうかよ。それじゃあ死んじゃえよ、お前。
Shinji jumps back. The man, still with a cold expression, finally brings his raised sword down.
そこまでよ。そこのサーバント。指一本でも動かせば、マスターの命は保証しないわ。
And the man stops his sword again. Everyone looks up. Everyone in the hall turns their attention to the girl standing at the terrace. Tosaka's hand is faced towards Shinji. Even though Shinji doesn't have the aptitude as a mage, he should know what that means. Tosaka is serious. Tosaka, just shoot him already. Please, just do it. If that man brings down his sword, she will kill Shinji as retaliation.
遠坂、お前までなんでここに。
Tosaka doesn't answer, but just keeps her aim aligned on Shinji.
なんだよ、お前。本気で僕を撃とうっていうか。この人殺し。
殺したのはそっちが先でしょう。もっとも、どうであれこっちの気は変わらないわ。シンジ、殺す権利と殺される権利は同じよ。そんなこと、人間なら魔術師じゃなくても本能で理解なさい。
Shinji weakly retreats, being glared down by Tosaka. At that, that guy is watching in delight. He looks at Tosaka as if to belittle her. Then, I feel like there was a strange vibration that took over the hall for an instant.
なるほど。俺の打倒はできぬと悟り、マスターを狙ったか。交渉を持ちかけたのは、マスターを殺したところで俺が止まらぬと判断したからだな、娘。
そうよ。シンジが死んだくらいじゃあんたは止まりそうにない。けどこの状況なら考えてもいいでしょ。今ならシンジを救えるもの。あんただってサーバントならマスターを失うのは痛手のはずよ。
なるほどなるほど。なかなかの起点だ。そこの雑誌を助けたいのならば、その交渉しかありえまい。
The sword disappears. He turns his back to me as if he lost interest.
お前、何のつもりだ。誰が止めろって言ったんだよ。
いや、状況が変わったぞ、シンジ。彼女ならば器としては文句なしだ。
Shinji's breath stops. His face filled with irritation suddenly turns into a dirty smile.
そうか。いや、 嬉しいよ遠坂。君がまだ生きていてくれて。